Welcome back, everyone, to the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast. I'm your co-host, Tim Chelsvik, joined by Mr. Matt Drury.
What's up?
Hey, man.
How's it going today?
It's good. It's good. The weather is cooling down. It's like I stepped out of the truck this morning, and it smelled like fall.
Yeah, well, today, but tomorrow it's supposed to be back up to like the 80s. It's so all over the place. So it's kind of crazy right now. It's, unfortunately for me, one of my two farms is still underwater. And
not a big deal.
Yeah. So the food plots, that's a thing of the past. Like all that work's wasted. And we've talked about it through several podcasts.
Right.
But now it's just like I'm just hoping for it to go down, so we could get in there and plant some oats. And it's not too late.
Salvage it.
It's salvage something, but it's to the point where we're running up against that wall where we may not get to plant anything in there. And just looking at the app that we look at, or the website that we look at in the forecast, it's not going to go down. It's like the 17th or the 18th of October. So It's, I've asked Dad and Mark, and if the weather's right, we can potentially still get some oats or something like that in there and make do. But it's like we're running up against it here, and it's getting to a point of no return.
That's a double-edged sword of hunting a river bottom, because that soil is so fertile and so good for growing great deer, but then you've got the river right there.
Yeah. So if the deer can't live on it, it makes it tough. It's disappointing because we've had so many trials and tribulations at the lease. Like, we kept saying if we just owned our own piece, we and could control it, the farmer and the cattle and whatever the other issues weren't. And Mark and Dad kind of had to remind me, like, hey, no matter what you own or lease, or you're always going to deal with something.
Yeah. What's the old saying? Like, if you want to make God laugh, make some plans.
Yeah. So it's been frustrating because I had a lot of hopes, like the few pictures we got. And then of course, our neighbors, we have a really great relationship with the neighbor, and he's sharing kind of what he was getting. And there's some great deer in the area. And we knew that going in, and I was so excited. But now, I was just talking to Trevor about it, my camera guy, and we're like, you know what? We're going to be stuck to basically like just hunting the 5 days of the, 5 to 10 days of the rut. If we're lucky, if the water's down by then, and probably not have any food source, and really just kind of have to go off of MRI and
back to basics.
Back to basics. It's not the end of the world, but man, for what we do and trying to film it and rely on certain areas and setups, it sucks. It really does.
Well, and so I'm still trying to find a decent buck to show up on camera.
That sucks.
I feel like I'm hunting blind, which makes it hard to go out. I went out on Saturday and Sunday night. Sunday night I probably shouldn't have, because things weren't 100%.
Hey, what DeerCast say?
DeerCast said it was supposed to be good.
Well, was it?
And
no.
It was not good that I left the house, because my wife felt like there was still stuff that needed to be done there at the house. So it's one of those where you're like, should I go? Should I not? I'm like burning a bridge here.
It needs to be great. Just wait till it's great to go. When you're in that situation, you just got to wait till it's great, man.
No kidding. It was not worth the trip out.
Yeah.
But you never know. You could catch a flyer, and a big one could walk by.
Here's what's going to happen. She's going to download the app, and then she's going to start checking it. And if it isn't great, she's going to be like, "Why are you going?"
Let's not even have this conversation.
So, yeah.
I'm a little nervous today for this show.
Why is that?
Honestly, because we have one of the top archers in the entire world.
I'd say the top.
On the show.
The proof's in the pudding. I'd say the top guy.
No kidding.
So we got Levi Morgan with us. He's from Bow Life TV, and of course, everybody knows what he's done throughout, the last more than a decade in the target archery world. He's just lights out and dominates everything, and wealth of knowledge. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Levi.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, not much. Appreciate you having me on here.
No, we're lucky we got you, because, I follow along on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, and you're all over the place. Like, you've already lit the world on fire so far this season.
Yeah, it's been a great year, man. I don't know how it's going to end, but it's been good already, no matter what happens,
So where all have you been so far?
As far as hunts go, we started in Colorado for elk. And then we went to Wyoming for mule deer, Montana for mule deer, New Mexico for elk, and then Newfoundland for woodland caribou. So, and then I've been hunting a little bit with Landon here at home, and I'm going to hunt here for a couple more weeks, I guess. So.
I'm glad you brought up your son Landon, because I saw that he had killed his first deer, right?
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. I'm still like can't stop smiling about it. It was just a really cool experience.
His reaction, and for those of you that may not follow Levi yet, you should go over and check out his Instagram page or his Facebook page. It was awesome. His reaction, he was so excited right after the shot, and you could tell on your face that you very proud of that moment.
Yeah, because he hasn't shown a lot of interest up until this point, which as a hunter and a dad, it's like it's a hard thing to do because you want your son to love it like you do, but at the same time, you don't want to force it on him and make him, put a bad taste in his mouth or something. So he finally showed some interest, but he's still young, 6 years old. So I was worried how he was going to do, but he did better than a lot of grown men I've been in the woods with. So
how did he do with the field dressing process?
Oh, he was watching cartoons at that point.
I'm with you. We just took Cameron out a couple weeks ago to Dad's, and he's 4, granted, and he wasn't the one hunting, but I wanted to see how he would do in the blind and how he would react and how if he could sit there that long, 3 hours or so. And we definitely had to break out the candy and the iPad, and he doesn't get on that much, but man, we had to do something because it was getting he was getting a little testy there in the blind.
There's no doubt, man. Landon had just stuffed an entire muffin in his mouth when this doe come out. Sure. So on the show, you'll be able to see he literally puts the entire muffin in his mouth, and then the doe steps out, and he's like sitting there trying to wolf this muffin down before this doe gets in range. It was pretty funny. But, yeah, the snacks and the phones and the iPads are definitely a help with kids.
Yeah, it's almost a must.
It's hard with kids, but I was pumped that he got it done.
That's
definitely
awesome, man.
Yeah, definitely worth it. That's great.
So I think one of the cool things is following along with you and of course your wife, Samantha, is just how integrated your family is into everything you do. I mean, that's something that obviously rings a bell with me and what we do here at Drury Outdoors.
Right.
Getting started, give us a little bit of backstory about how you kind of got started into the industry and what your goals were in trying to produce a TV show.
Well, my dad was a huge bow hunter, and I was in love with this since I was a kid, and that's kind of how I got into the competition thing. And I mean, from the time I was Landon's age, me and Dad were. I mean, that was just all we talked about, all we did together. It's all I wanted to do, and literally watched Mark and Terry. And I've said it, even on social media or whatever. I've learned more from Mark and Terry over the years. And me and Dad used to go to the old convenience store and rent all the VHS tapes when I was little, and I would just watch them over and over and over. And so that's how kind of my love was born for hunting. And I grew up in North Carolina where you didn't see any deer, but somehow I still loved it. But that kind of led me into competition, and I've been lucky enough to make a career out of that over the years. But in 2007, that was the first year I'd really had a lot of success as a professional shooting. But I was still having to win tournaments to pay my house payment, and so I was just a crazy kid. I think I was 19 or 20, and I was like, Samantha, we got to have a little more security. I don't like having to win to pay my house payment. Yeah. I was like, so let's start this TV show, which was a really, really dumb thought.
You wanted security. You went the wrong way.
Yeah, I went the wrong way, man. I had no idea, but through years of finding that out the hard way, we've finally been able to be at a decent place.
That's good. It takes a little while. I mean, it's the industry's pretty cutthroat, and you got to really have a niche or a hook or something that sponsors can gravitate towards, because there's, like you said, Tim, there's just a lot of saturation in that marketplace.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, how do I get started? And I want to do a show. And man, anymore, I don't even know what to tell people. I would hate to try to start right now and it's great. You have to have something that I tell them, you got to have something that sponsors need. You got to make them need you to make it in this industry. There's so many people that love hunting and would love to do it for a living, and I mean, but it's just it's tough, and we're very blessed, and it may all end tomorrow, but we're having fun, and we're gonna keep going as long as we can.
You got the right attitude. It's because that's the tough part, the balance of like family life, and then the business side. Like at the end of the day, you guys are together. You're sticking it out. You do it all together, and you succeed together or you fail together. I mean, that's kind of our general principle, and it does make you put a lot of effort and a lot more. Your mentality is a little different when you got so much at stake.
Yeah. I mean, Levi, I think you said it well. When your house payment is riding on your success, suddenly you have a lot more discipline, and
right.
you just the level of seriousness just gets amped up. So that's where passion alone is just not enough to be successful. You've got to be good and disciplined at other aspects of your work in the outdoor industry.
So on the competition side of things, what you obviously put a lot of time and blood, sweat, tears into your craft. You can't just be that good at something. Yeah. Obviously you're given a God-given talent to a degree, but you got to hone in on it. So right. What do you even to this day, after all these years, how much are you shooting? Like, how much are you practicing? How much do you go in to try to hone in on that or continue to keep it?
Well, normally, at the end of hunting season, December, after Christmas, January, I'm starting to work really hard at it again and kind of get back into competition shape, because hunting shape, and as far as shooting, I'm not talking about physical shape, but like shooting wise, a lot different. We shoot a few arrows a day, make sure our bow's still sighted in, and go to the woods. But in tournaments, you're shooting sometimes hundreds of arrows a day. So you have to kind of build up that endurance. And so I try to shoot a lot January and even into February, but then our tournament schedule gets so hectic anymore that you're just really maintaining between tournaments. I think I tell a lot of people, I did most of my practicing when I was a kid. I mean, I learned this game inside and out. My dad really, he said something to me when I was little over and over. It was kind of his saying, and it stuck with me my whole life. He said, son, because I loved baseball and football and all the sports, and he told me, he said, you can be good at a lot of things or you can be great at one, and I remember him saying that over and over to me when I was little. And so I really worked on this game that I loved. And so I feel like I practiced so much until I was 19 and hit the tour that it's still, I can kind of dust off the cobwebs at the beginning of the year and spend a few months really getting back into it. And then it's just a matter of maintaining, which was a hard thing for me to learn my rookie year. Once we got into the middle of the season, you get in such a rut that the season's gone and you turn around and you're like, I didn't win a single tournament, so you really have to be able to break it down into smaller steps and to micro focus during these tournaments to be able to come out on top.
Well, so you mentioned being in shape, and that's right up the alley for this question that we have from Ryan Milashevsky, talking about how to stay in shape for bow season.
Well, let's do it then.
Yeah. The
question of the day is brought to you by the Lacrosse Alpha Burley Pro. Tread lightly, hunt confidently.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Milashevsky from Overland Park, Kansas. Just wanted to see what kind of tips, tricks, tactics you guys have for staying mentally and physically sharp throughout the long, grueling deer season. It is a knockdown, drag-out fight sometimes, going after and trying to fill a tag. Sometimes, it gets to be just going through the motions, going out there and maybe not excited or just not mentally sharp, and usually that's when the buck steps out. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Thanks.
That's an interesting question, because there's a middle part of that season. If you're hunting once the season opens and go all the way to the end of it, like there's a part in there where it's like,
why am I doing this?
We say it all the time. It's Groundhog's Day. Like Mark and Terry half the time don't know what day of the week it is. Like it's like, they might be asking for something from the office or whatever. I'm like, guys, it's Sunday. Nobody's like other people do take a day off, but you're kind of in that same fold where you're running and gunning all season long. You're traveling a lot. How do you do it, man? How do you keep in shape mentally and physically?
Well, that's definitely two different things. Physically, it's tough, man. In the off season, fitness is a big part of my life, and eating healthy and staying in the gym, and that's just not possible in hunting season. So it's more of maintaining and on the physical side of things. One of the things I started doing, because gosh, in deer camps all over the country, and just you sit in a tree all day long and snack. And so what I started doing, I was like, there is no way I'm not going to come into camp at night and eat that lasagna that's made and sitting on the counter, So I started doing intermittent fasting, and it's been pretty cool as far as, so I just drink coffee and I don't eat breakfast. And then I eat when I get back in for lunch, if I come in for lunch, and then you can kind of eat what I want. And I kind of maintain that way. And if I can find a gym and it's not the rut, then I'll go to the gym in the middle of the day or something. But staying physically in shape in hunting season, when you hunt as much as we do, and you're just constantly gone day in and day out, sitting in the woods, and then when you're not hunting, you're hanging stands or planning or something, it's really hard. The mental side of it for me is a little bit easier, because I feel like that never ends for me is on the tournament side. And into hunting, it's all about setting goals. And then for me, I try to pick a main goal, and I think this goes for life or anything in general. You have this end goal that you want. And so most people just say, I want to kill a big buck or this buck, and they never think about it after that. And that's just that's their goal, but they don't break it down. For me, I have to break it down into smaller steps. And so, okay, that's what I want to do. Well, what's all the steps that's going to lead me to that, or give me my best opportunity at accomplishing that? And so then I just, all those steps, and I'll say, what's the first thing I got to do? And then I'll go from that step to the next step to the next step. And you don't get bored, and you kind of keep your mind busy, and you're not thinking about all the hours you're spending out there and what the heck am I doing, and all this stuff. Makes it a little easier for me to sit there that, on the 27th day when I hadn't seen a shooter in 3 weeks, and it's just really slow. So it's a tough grind, and I don't know that there's a perfect answer for it. Yeah, that's kind of how I deal with all that, because like you said, after you've been going for a month or two, getting up every day and going and nothing's happening, it can be pretty discouraging.
It definitely seems that the moment of truth, and he kind of touched on it in his question, happens when you are least mentally ready for it. Yep. It's like you haven't seen a shooter, you haven't seen anything, and then all of a sudden, here comes the opportunity, the one opportunity you're going to get for the year. And that's the one thing that I learned a few years ago when I started getting to hunt a little bit more. Your opportunities are rare. They are rare. And you better capitalize. So you better be ready.
And you literally don't know when they're going to happen, which is the magic of bow hunting to me, is that it can be 0 miles per hour all day, and then all of a sudden it's 100 miles an hour right before daylight ends.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned eating in deer camp, and I don't know if you guys have ever requested a salad when you're at camp. Don't.
Well, I wouldn't, because I'd be afraid of the abuse that you would take from all the rest of the guys in camp.
It's unheard of. They're like, "What is a salad?"
It's not worth it. Yeah.
We went to Mexican the other day here, the staff, and Tim got a salad, and they put rice in the salad.
Yeah, there was rice under. It was like they had to include carbs, and that was the point. Like, trying to avoid, because I know the grind of bow season is here, and so I'm a runner, and so my running schedule is completely curtailed. So I'll do what I can in the schedule that I have to control my intake, and carbs is one of them. And doggone it,
they snuck it in underneath the lettuce.
Who puts rice underneath a chicken salad?
Yeah, kind of the point of getting a salad. But yeah, you're right, man. You can't go to deer camp with a bunch of rednecks and start ordering salad. It doesn't work, so.
I learned the hard way on that one.
For me, I can have all the discipline in the world and just about every facet of my life other than food. Mm-hmm. And so when little Debbie breaks out, it's impossible. Like when I go to Dad's, they don't know what the word health means. It's crazy. Right. I don't know how he's as skinny as he is, because I swear he takes 10,000 calories a day. And
well, that and both the guys that filmed me in the tree, my brother and Justin, dude, they are like snack kings. They have nothing but snacks in their backpacks. I'm talking about Skittles, M&Ms, Twizzlers.
Are they
So
12?
I'm sitting there all day and I'm starving, and they start handing Twizzlers down. I'm not going to turn that down.
Yeah, like I can have discipline enough not to bring it, but if somebody else did, it's trouble.
Right.
Yeah. Well, then the stops at like the Casey's store, or, when you're on the way, you figure I'm just gonna grab something here because I'm moving between properties.
I defy you to pass up a piece of Casey's pizza.
Or the donuts, man. Those donuts are awesome.
Yeah. So we kind of talking about the mental and the physical side here. For you going forward for this season, is there something that you're looking forward to the most? A certain hunt, or I know you've been on quite a few cool hunts already. Is there something that you're really looking forward to experiencing that's coming up for you this fall?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the new farm we bought. I've had a lot of fun already with. There's just something about owning your own piece of ground that's something I've always wanted to do, and so I'm really looking forward to watching the deer on that and seeing what I really have and seeing how they move on the property and trying to learn a lot about it. And that's something I'm looking forward to a lot this year, is just learning, because every property is different, how they use it and at certain times of year, and so I'm looking forward to learning that. As far as a hunt goes, I always look forward to Kansas. I feel like the most, just because it's such a fun camp, man. We have some really good friends, and it's like family there. I've been going there to this place for 8 or 9 years, and hunting's incredible, and the people are even better. So that's always a really fun trip that the whole family goes on, and so that special time that every bow hunter looks forward to, the first 2 or 3 weeks of November.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah. Do you have a target buck out in Kansas that you're chasing?
I normally try not to do that in Kansas because my buddy that leases most of the ground out there, his whole family hunts, and they seem to arrow every target buck that I think I'm going to pick out before I get there. His oldest son, Kate, is 18 and in college and loves bow hunting. And last year I picked a target buck out, and he killed it, I think October 10th or something like that. It was like almost 190. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's giants out there. And Samantha shot that 193 a couple years ago, and then 3 days before that I shot a 174. So there's big ones that make it till we get there. But I try not to pick a target buck out there. I just go have fun, and once I get there, I'll run some cameras and see what's left.
Sure. That's kind of the mentality you got to have. I share a lease as well, and it's and I'm the one that's on it most of the time, and it seems like my lease partner is the one that has the most encounters and the most success, and you just got to, because I make sure he comes the right week, and it's just part of it, and you kind of got to get not that it's jealousy, it's just like, man, I wish I would have had that opportunity, but you kind of got to put that out of your mind, and you're all buddies, you're all friends, it's all good. And if somebody gets on the deer, the big deer of the camp, hey man, as your camp got him down, that's awesome.
Yeah. It does make for interesting conversations when someone takes the buck that you were gunning for, but yeah, you can't tell someone not to shoot your deer.
No way.
It's not your deer.
No, I mean, that's just part of it. I mean, yeah, you sit there and daydream about that deer walking by you all day long, but the truth of the matter is that's an uncontrollable situation, and that deer could walk by your neighbor, it could walk by anybody. So I'm always happy when somebody I know shoots one, even though, it might be a little bittersweet because you've been daydreaming of that deer since you got the first velvet picture of him. So,
and that's
just part of it.
That's the funny thing, too. It's like just to know, to have the peace of mind of knowing how the deer died, where, because there's so many times where a giant passed through your life on a trail camera and you never saw him again. It's like, man, I wonder what, or one that you were chasing for a couple years and just disappeared. It's like, man, whatever happened to so-and-so? Like to have the closure's worth kind of the peace of mind.
Well, which is a great reminder. So if folks want to help us out, we kind of have an unsolved mystery going on right now. If folks are familiar with the Grand Lake area in Oklahoma, a friend of ours found a buck, a deadhead that was kind of stuck to a submerged log in Grand Lake while they were pre-fishing for a bass tournament. It looks like it's going to go like the 220s. It's
a giant,
massive.
Yeah.
And they have no idea how it got there, where it came from. So check out DeerCast. It's a story. It's a giant tracker story called the Grand Lake Gargantuan. And if you have any information, we're trying to put this thing together like the old Robert Stack Unsolved mystery show.
It may be tough though.
yeah, but wouldn't it be cool to to know that it came up the Neosho River or something, and some guy was watching it?
Well, that's the thing. That's what always amazes me. Like how many people have pictures of a target animal. Anytime that we might get lucky and harvest one, that's when you kind of start getting emails through our website or social media like, hey, yeah, congratulations, we had so many pictures of them, wondered what happened. Like, up at Dad's place, it might be like 4 or 5 different farms that have pictures of a certain deer. So it's always crazy to see kind of where they're at, where they're summer, hanging out during the summer compared to what they do in the fall or winter. It's interesting to see how they move.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy how much. I mean, you think you can control a deer and where he goes, and it's just. I had a lease one year in Ohio. It was 1,800 acres, and I was hunting a deer I called Pirate Steve. It was 200+ inch deer, and I thought it was this big secret, and I didn't tell anybody, and I was hunting him hard, and then he disappeared, and somebody's like, hey, man, there's an outfitter up the road from you. You should get on their website and check out their trail camera pictures. And that sucker was all over them. He was all over public land beside me. I mean, he was traveling all up and down the whole highway. And so he ended up disappearing. And if I hadn't have seen that, I'd never known what happened to him. I'm sure somebody probably got him. But
yeah.
Did you say you called him Pirate Steve?
Yeah, Pirate Steve.
I love the name.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he had a big club that came down over his eye, so he looked like a patch on his eye, so we called him Pirate Steve.
Funny.
Nice. Well, Levi, any more kind of tips for folks to stay healthy mentally and physically this fall before we wrap things up?
The only thing I could say is mentally, when you're sitting in a stand, I try every setup I get in, I try to play out every possible scenario that could happen. If he comes from here, if he comes from here. And so I'm trying to range things and have a general idea of what I need to do if he comes from anywhere around me. That way, because they never do what you think they're going to do. You think he's going to come out of that patch of CRP and walk down this hedgerow, but they normally do the exact opposite of that. So what I try to do is just mentally prepare myself for him coming from any way. And then when he does do that, it seems to work out a little easier, and I'm a little more prepared and ready mentally for that situation. So just while you're sitting there, instead of scrolling through Instagram the whole time, take a few minutes to kind of prepare yourself for what could possibly happen in that stand, and because you never know when, like he said, when you least expect it, and from the spot you didn't think he was going to come from, and that's normally what happens. So if you can be mentally prepared and kind of have some sort of game plan for that, it could be the difference.
It's sad that we have to put that warning out there, like, hey, just try to stay off Instagram for a couple minutes. And that's the dead truth, man. It's like, if we could all just stay off our phones.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's impossible.
It is. I don't know how we made it whenever I was younger with no phones and no nothing, just sitting out there hunting. I don't know what we did.
It was a little more boring. I mean, I remember that much.
I distinctly remember. Yeah. You scanned the woods a lot.
And you saw a lot of things that didn't exist.
Yeah,
Is that a stump?
no doubt.
Awesome. Well, Levi, thanks so much for joining us. It's been so great having you on. We appreciate you sharing your insights. And Ryan, thank you for submitting the question. We appreciate that.
Levi, where can we find out more information about you guys?
Yeah, you can go to our website, bowlife.com. You can follow me on Instagram, bowlifelevi. And then our show is on Sportsman's Channel on Wednesday nights at 8:30. So that if you follow any of those things or do any of those three, you'll figure out what we're doing.
Good deal. It's a good follow. I promise you won't be disappointed. He's always, him and his family are always out on an adventure, And that's what I like about it. It's just like it's kind of like you're there with them every step of the way.
Totally, yeah. And the other thing, Levi, that I appreciate about your work is that you're very focused on teaching other people the craft of archery. Like, obviously, it's your passion, but it seems like it's also your passion to share that knowledge so other people can be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and make progress. So
yeah, for sure.
I think that's
important.
I'm
happy to help any way I can, and I really appreciate you guys having me on here for sure.
Absolutely. Well, if you want more of the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast, it's easy. How much does it cost, Matt, to get this show?
It's free.
It's free? We're giving this thing away?
Well, we have to. I don't know that anybody would pay for it.
Well, maybe we'll find out. So you can get it on the iTunes, on Apple's iTunes. You can get it on Google Play Music, Stitcher, SoundCloud, pretty much any place that you would find podcasts. You can find the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast. To search for us, find us, subscribe, and they can also find us on YouTube, right?
Absolutely. So if you're watching this right now, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Drury Outdoors. We're giving away a bow here when we hit 100,000 subscribers. We're well on our way. We're thinking it's going to be here in November. So jump on board real quick and don't get left out, because you got a pretty good chance at winning a brand new PSE. And while you're there, we got tons of new content going up every day. New episodes of Natural Born, Winchester and Drury's Natural Born, we're hitting right now on YouTube. And Throwback Thursdays. We got all kinds of good stuff coming up all the time. One of the cool new programs that we just added was the bragging board, DeerCast bragging board. We had so many cool success stories about the app so far. We created a whole new little quick show about it on YouTube. So it's been pretty awesome to see what's happening there on the DeerCast side as well.
Yeah, and I know a lot of folks are submitting their pictures and videos to us, success stories, through DeerCast. Keep doing that. It's awesome. We get so many. And if you're wondering, like, hey, I uploaded my my hunt, I uploaded my pictures, why am I not seeing it? Just know that we get a lot of that, and we will do our best to share that via fan shares or bragging boards. If you know of a huge buck that was killed, get in touch with us, and we'll highlight that also. But there's just so much. We've been really humbled and honored by the amount of interaction.
So much so that we're actually working on an update to the app where there's going to be part of the news feed where you can filter and go to all of the fan share stuff, and everything gets put in there. So if it's been uploaded by you at home, it'll actually be in the app here, soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks to a month. So pretty cool so far.
And we should probably also say thank you to everyone who has signed up to use DeerCast, because we're well over 100,000 users now, which is just wildly beyond.
On our way to 150 and beyond. So
we're not stopping.
Yeah. So if you want to check us out at social media, Drury Outdoors, you could catch us anywhere: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course DruryOutdoors.com. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and till next time, be safe out there. We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV is brought to you by Lacrosse Footwear.